Number one, don't create friction with your clients or your customers. Don't. Make it easy for them to do business with you.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to the Better Than Rich Show. I'm your host today, Mike Abramowitz, and I am here with Lynn Wise. Lynn, welcome to the Better Than Rich Show.
Thanks for having me, Mike. Great to be here.
Well, you are a name that's popped up because we have a couple of mutual contacts. I was talking to Paul Maskell and Phil Risher and Danielle Putnam and Jen Begley and a couple of names that you might recognize. And your book, Build It, Grow It, Sell It, 9 Steps to a Thriving Contracting Business, Contractor in Charge. Over 40 years, you've owned 5 successful small businesses, including plumbing, heating, repair, remodeling. You're a very impressive human, and I'm very excited to be able to dig in and pull as much expertise out of you as possible when it comes to helping our listener be able to build a company that maybe isn't as reliant on them as they may be running it right now. So we're going to go in a lot of different directions, and I want to pick your brain as much as possible to kind of help this listener. So are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. So the first place I'd like to start, I'd love to start top of funnel. I would love to hear you just kind of riff on what are some of the problems and pains that you see when it comes to these home service professionals when they're spending, some of them are spending $5,000 to $10,000 or more on marketing, and they are complaining or uncertain as to where those leads are going and why they might not be showing up as appointments on their schedule. If you had to just kind of break down your top of funnel perspective, what type of counsel might you offer to this person?
First thing is that what I see, there's a lack of focus on leads. And what I mean by that is that typically you've got resources, whether it's an AI voice or it's a person that's designated to be the lead handler, let's just say. And we treat leads just like every other inbound call. And we can't do that. It needs a special treatment. It needs to have a special focus. When you have a focus on leads and you can sort that separate from all the other inbound things that you handle in your business, whether it's an inquiry to speak to somebody or an invoice or a bill or when's my technician going to arrive or can you send me my quote? When you sort that all out and you focus just on leads, now all of a sudden you'll get a much better return on the money that you're spending. And what you'll find is that you'll convert at a higher rate and you'll spend less money doing so. And so here's the problem with a lot of small businesses. By the way, ours included, right? Is that when you're doing lead generation, especially paid leads, they're random at best. And some days there's a few and some days there's several. So how do you resource that? And so after really looking at this and trying to get my head around it for 10 years, what I came up with is that it's the focus, and the right way to do it is to outsource it to somebody who knows how to do it, period. And I'm not even promoting my job, because that source is randomly available on demand and needs to be trained on how to qualify and book the lead and give the provisions of speed to lead and do it at a higher rate. And that source has to be empowered to offer certain components, whether it be a coupon or a price or information to book the lead. So if you really want to pay for the lead and get the lead, be prepared to book the lead. That's my advice. Focus. And do it with the customer in mind, not you in mind. What's the customer in mind? So I constantly hear this conversation that, people are price shopping. Yep, they are. That's the environment you're in. Learn how to win them.
So
So
can
I,
can you click on what you mean by speed to lead, just to make sure that that is crystal clear of what someone what you
yeah,
mean by that?
sure. It depends on inbound, but let's say it's digital, you want to be responsive within at least 20-25 seconds. Same thing on an inbound phone call. You want to be responsive in 3 to 5 rings. First call resolution, it's not a transfer or I'll call you back type situation on an inbound call. It's whoever answers that particular inbound lead needs to be able to be one, empowered, two, educated, three, confident that they can solve and book that appointment. So it can't be a passover. So
Mm.
I think speed to lead is, the answer rate, the answer speed is one thing, but really and truly, first call resolution to me is even more critical. So solve it on the first call resolution.
Tell us more what you mean by first call resolution.
So whoever or whatever is engaging with that lead to qualify it, they're prepared and ready to do the job. It's not something they have to take a message and pass off to somebody else and have somebody else call them back.
Okay.
So
So
think of it this way. You've got a business. Somebody calls in and says, hey, I need a price on whatever. CSR answers it. The instruction could be from the owner. Listen, if they're asking for a price, get their name and number and tell them I'll call them back. First mistake.
so
First mistake. So how do you fix that? Whoever is responding to those paid leads, those marketing lead sources, has to be empowered and knowledgeable and confident that they can book the appointment and close the lead. Period.
could we role play that scenario and just see what that's supposed to sound like?
Um, sure. Give me a shot.
So let's say okay, ring, and then you answer the phone, and I say, hey, I was just looking to get an idea or an estimate on a new outdoor lighting setup for my house in Tampa, Florida.
Great. So let me ask you a few questions. So I'd ask questions about what their goals are, what it looks like to them. And then I would ask qualifying questions. So let me see, is this something you're going to be doing in the next several weeks, or is this something you're planning for a later date? And they would provide that information. And then I would be prepared to say that with some understanding, our ranges could be from this to this. Don't take the low end as a given. Don't take the high end as a given. But how we do this is that we have to set really somebody to come out, measure the property, et cetera, to
Mm,
make sure we understand what the scope of the work is. And we do that with a free estimate. Let me go ahead and get you scheduled.
sounds pretty good. You're hired. All right.
Exactly. I've been doing it too damn long. That's it. But it that preparedness that they're comfortable that they can do that. But I can tell you, I listen to a lot of calls and I see this happen all the time where the owner says, you can't get prices over the phone. I'm, as a contractor, trust me, I get it, right? But there's a way to say, I understand the question. I understand it. And if how we do that is that we can give you a range today, but the way we help understand your particular situation, we have to come out and assess it and make a recommendation for your particular work.
Mm.
And we present you with a price on the job or whatever the pieces and parts of that are. So it's helping them understand, setting expectations on how we can work with them.
So let me ask you this. What's your take on how many homeowners are wanting to talk to someone on the phone, call, like talk to them, like what percentage want to talk, what percentage want to engage in like a chat bot or like text, and what percentage don't want to talk to anyone, they just want to self-schedule and just pick a time where it's convenient for them to be able to talk to someone and get their questions answered.
It's changing, right? but I'd say that we're probably in the 70-30 range, 70 being talk versus 30, just because of the legacy of where we come from. However, the younger generations, especially Gen X, millennial, they're very self-service. They also do research before they have conversations, or they chat or whatever. What I do know is that as a business, we need to meet them where they're at. So if they want to chat, you need a chat. If you need an online scheduler, you need an online scheduler. If they want to talk to somebody, by the way, I have a mindset. If I pick up the phone and call somebody, I want to talk to somebody. Okay. I don't I don't want to talk to a bot. I want to talk to somebody. Is there bot play in the mix of what we do? Of course, but I just saw some data today from Searchlight, Jonathan Torrey, where they're really doing a deep dive in AI CSRs. And it's stinkier than people think. So a lot of hangups. So if I don't get what I want and I want to talk to somebody and it's a robot, I'm hanging up. Right? Or I'm going to try to get out of the loop. So if there's ever a time to consider what you need to do to offer conversion points, engagement points with the customer, it's now, because there are multiple. There's chat, there's online scheduling, there's AI voice, there's email, there's all of those things. You need to have them all. And honestly, your website is not a magazine. It's a point of entry to convert. So if you're marketing for your services, I'm going to say this: the lowest cost of acquiring a customer is self-service, right? Send them to the scheduler. By the way, if they don't want the scheduler, they see a text. Oh, by the way, call me. They can make a decision. Let them make the choice, but you've got to be prepared on all the choices. And that website, again, needs to be a sales converting tool, not a magazine. So you have to make it a magazine for AI to find you and all the search engines to find you. But when you're meeting the customer, make sure that it can convert.
Can you speak to any best practices that you've seen on helping improve conversion rate? We've had a couple of StoryBrand, Donald Miller experts use a lot of his frameworks on the podcast. Sean Gardner did a great job on that. Brian Soy did a great job on that. We had John Logan did a great job. So we've had a couple of conversations on how to set up your website to convert, but I'd love to have you riff on your version of that, of like, what are the important parts? Is there a lead magnet for those that are not ready to book, but they're interested? Is there we already talked a little bit about the self-scheduling. What does the contact form say? Does it say buy now? Does it say free estimate? Are we giving away coupons? Are we giving away lookbooks? Are we giving away do it yourselves? Are we, right? Like anything that you, from your seat, from your expertise, your 40 years, if you were going to give counsel to someone listening right now to help them set up a website that is optimized for conversion, what are some of the things that show up for you?
So I just talked to a very successful and well-known name in the plumbing HVAC space, Billy Stevens with Billy Go. I don't know if the audience would know him, but he's pretty famous in this space. 67% of his bookings are through his online scheduler. 67% of his bookings are through his online scheduler. Why? Because he tells them what he wants them to know, and then he drives them to what he wants them to do. So it doesn't matter if you're offering a coupon. It doesn't matter if you're looking to promote a service. Tell them to go to the online scheduler and schedule. If you tell them to call, guess what they're going to do? They're going to call. So tell them what you want them to do. And I don't think there's a right answer, honestly, Mike. I think it depends. If I was promoting for service work, I would promote 24/7 online scheduling all over the place. Every landing page I had would have a link to my scheduler. Every link, every one of them. Would it have call me? Yeah, somewhere. But here's how you book. So make sure you're giving the obvious. If you need if it's more of an inquiry call, tell them that you'll talk to them any different way. You can chat with us. You can book online for an estimate. You can call us. You can let them make the decision. I think those are a lot lower iffies, right? Probabilities of securing. But I think that's the one thing that we really make a mistake on is that we promote where we service, what we do, but we don't help them understand how to best communicate with us and schedule an appointment sometimes. So think about what you're doing. And I'm not a marketing person per se, a digital marketing company like some of those that you've referenced. I'm just a business person and we respond to 30,000 leads a month.
Hmm. I personally am glad to hear what you're saying because what I hear is you want to meet the homeowner where they're at, right? And if the homeowner wants to self-schedule, give them a chance to self-schedule. If they want to, if
Exactly.
they're calling, then it means they want to talk to a human. And we want to position them to have be met with where they're at because more than likely they're not just contacting your company. So if we have a slow speed to lead, we are a slow speed to lead. Sometimes it's like 24 hours or like, 12 hours later or something. And then if we also have a magazine as a website, let's say a bunch of like information that doesn't convert. And then we say we don't have a self-scheduler at all. And then we don't have like a lead magnet for them to like opt into something for us to continue a relationship with them. Man, like just those 3 or 4 items could dramatically improve conversion rate if I heard everything that
It's
you're
just
saying.
basic. It's just the basics. I think we make things too complicated.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the most successful contractors that I ever really engaged with. And I love them because they really validated, I guess, the way I think in a way. But their whole marketing strategy was transparent pricing. Not what they sold, but they would give transparent pricing on anything they sold. That was their marketing strategy. And I think that's amazing. Sometimes we confuse what we do as the marketing strategy versus what our differentiation is. So that's the other thing I would say, think about. And they built a $35 million business in a matter of a span of 7 years, and they had no experience at this at all. And I said, why did you do that? And they said, because that's how we like to deal with companies.
And
Not
who is this
nobody
company?
told them to. Um, gosh, I knew you were going to ask me the question. It
That's
was,
fine. I was just curious. I thought
but
I wasn't
it's
sure if you said it or
the
not.
gentleman's name is Travis Ring. They were in Anthem, Arizona, a plumbing HVAC company.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, but before I take a hard pivot, because I want to talk a little bit about the profit side of stuff, I know you have a lot of expertise there. Um, if there was, say, a listener wants to take something away from this part of the conversation when it comes to helping improve their conversions, um, was there anything else that we did not hit on that could support them with their conversion process? Because one of the things, like, I mean, I have 20 years of direct sales experience, and I
Hmm.
love the conversion game because a lot of people in the trades and home services and contractors are really good at the service side of things, and some of them are okay at the business side of things. But many of them, when it comes to the conversion or the sales side of things, it's like a little wonky in some cases partially because they have like a paradigm of like I'm not a salesperson, right? So we just try to reframe them. It's like it's not about being a salesperson, it's just having a predictable sales process that helps someone go through your sales process instead of you going through their buying process. If you don't have something, then you're just going to go naturally through theirs, and then you're going to have a bunch of objections, and then they're probably going to shop around and then keep you kind of like lingering along or whatever, right? So those are things that's like what I love to support personally with because I have so much experience there. Anything that you want to just kind of bring in when it comes to this conversion piece?
So one, don't create friction with the customer or the potential customer. So, for example, many of us have service fees, right? Or dispatch fees or diagnostic fees. Think of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, right? First friction, you said right there. Boom. I'm going to charge you to come out and give you a price. Figure out how to build that into your model. Look at the probability of selling. There's, if you need help, I can help you figure this out. But don't have friction. Present them with your expectations as part of your magazine. Let me tell you how we work with our customers. Number one, you never pay retail. I'm just giving you things. We always are. We're not ashamed of our price. We're going to give you our price, whether it's over the phone or it's going to be on the job. You can have disclaimers, right? Oh, by the way, we have referrals. Here they are. Be happy to have somebody talk to you. Create a referral program so that they can be rewarded for doing business with you. But don't create friction. We create friction with our clients. I've done it myself in my own business. And we're actually, at this stage of Contractor in Charge, we're really taking a big step back and saying, look, how do we want to be world class? Number one, don't create friction with your clients or your customers. Don't. Make it easy for them to do business with you. And you can still have your parameters, right? You have to collect, you have to have 50% down, or you have to have certain things that are completed. Like, for example, I got to inspect the property and size it up. That's all good. That's all part of your trust and relationship building with the customer. But don't make it hard to do business with. And then the other thing I'm just going to say, go back to the basics. Understand they have maybe never bought your service before. They don't know how much it costs. They don't even know what it might look like. They suspect could be a first time. So again, help them understand. I think in the direct sales, Mike, kind of coming back to you, one of the parameters of direct sales is presentation of building the expectations, right? Setting the expectations as you go, and we use illustrative things to build value when we are selling. It's just the way we do it, right? So it's the same thing in what we do. So I don't know, that could be a lot of generalities, but to me, back to the basics, don't have friction, meet them where they're at, make sure that you've got the right point of entry so that it can be engaged and convert.
One of the things that we've said a lot on the show is expectations create reality, and then also we want to make sure their experience is meeting their expectations. So when I love that you use the word friction, we say that a lot. It's like remove the barriers, remove the friction, make it as easy as possible for them to say yes. That's why we've had Danielle Putnam on the show talking about like a menu option, giving them multiple options. So it's not like, did you want to buy? Yes or no. It's like, which of these options works better for you? So it's a yes or yes question, right? Like small, simple things that we can do to build on behalf of the user experience to make it as easy as possible. That's why I love like having a self-schedule booking link, right? Like very easy. And one of the things that we also recommend is like having videos and an email sequence that kind of primes the homeowner for like what the experience is going to look like. Hey, video one, thanks for booking. We appreciate you taking the time to book. This is what it's going to look like during our first conversation. Second video, hey, looking forward to our conversation. Just if we did work together, this is essentially what it looks like for us to work together. Video number three, thanks again for booking. We'll be with you, we'll be in touch soon. I also want to let you know, this is, if we work together, this is a budget. Like, this is how much you probably should be looking to spend, right? So it's like a sequence that's priming them for what the experience is going to be like. So that way, when you actually take them through the experience, it's like, oh, I remember you already said that to me. So it's the second time or the third time that I'm hearing the same thing. So I obviously I could keep riffing on.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, Mike, that is actually, that's not done. So sequencing after, to set expectations like you're talking about, I don't know of anybody that does it. Now, will I agree with it? Absolutely. Wow. I 100% agree with it. The follow-up and the nurturing of the customer from the time that that appointment's booked to the time that it's closed or not closed is critical. It really is. Even if you don't close it, it's then the sequence of those that you didn't close and why they should reevaluate their choices when it comes to the services that you provide either immediately or in the future. So we don't do that. That's not part of the sequence. I mean, there's I would say, and I'm being general, so I'm in the plumbing HVAC world, right? That's where my brain's at. That's not something that's done in this space. In fact, it's done very poorly.
Why do you
What
think
I
that
would tell
is?
you is that, pardon?
Why do you think that is?
Because it's so transactional in nature, and they just move on. They don't look at the lifetime value of the customer in that perspective, where the thing I just recently bought a jacuzzi shower this past summer. And the sequence of that up to the time that the job was actually delivered and installed was amazing. So they went through the whole sequence, thanks for becoming a customer. Let me just make sure that if you got any questions, touch points up until the time it was installed, right? Not even on the buy side, because the buy side, I'm talking up even after it was bought. On the buy side, they were very tenacious and very professionally tenacious, right? It's not done here. It's not done here. There's a lot of transactions in the plumbing and HVAC that are urgent in nature, both to the customer and to the buy and to the business itself. So, and they've put a lot of emphasis on urgency, and that's how it's executed. So it's a shortened window, but that doesn't mean you don't nurture afterwards.
Yeah. It's almost like an emergency services using HVAC plumbing. My dad owns a plumbing business for 50 years. A lot of them are just like, fix my thing and hopefully I never have to see you again. Right. It's like,
I don't want to see you ever again.
I don't want to see you again.
Yeah. And but you make them also feel that way. And
Mm.
there's no connection to them. I mean, think about it. Your dad's from the same era as I am, right? I can tell you, your dad did not build his business that way originally. I believe me, that is not how we operated 50 years ago. We were very much about how we could service you and continue to service you. Now, we didn't have good practices for follow-up, but we were in the community. We were very visible usually, and even if it's in the referral world. And there's ways to do it in different ways. And I hate to overuse the word member, but you can create loyalty programs that are built around how to create loyalty around those emergency service type customers for sure.
Yeah, I was we've had a couple of really good conversations around this. And one of the ideas, and this is like the dream, but it's like be the type of plumber that even if there's not a problem, someone says to themselves, "Huh, maybe I do want to get that done. I wasn't going to plan on it, but like maybe I do want a water filtration system, or maybe I would want a softener in my water softener, right?" So it's almost like I got the emergency thing done, but then remaining top of mind in a way that says, by the way, we have these other services that are non-emergency, that are like nice to haves that you might want to consider adding on now that the emergency is done. Like something along those lines is always what felt true to me. I don't know if
It
that
is
rings true
true.
to
I'm
you.
going to give all the plumbers in the world out there a tip. Do mini remodels. What does that mean? Sell a remodel to come in and replace all the faucets, replace the garbage disposal, change the kitchen sink out, put towel bars up at the bathroom. Sell that for Mother's Day or a holiday gift and make it something to your point, what you're referencing. So I come out, I unclog your toilet, but here's the opportunity. Sell mini remodels, promote mini remodels to your customers. Replace the water heater. I was a plumber too, so I love this stuff. Everything in front of the wall, guess who makes that decision? The woman of the house. And they don't think that way as a rule.
Mm, it's great. Lynn, We could keep jamming on conversion and sales and business, and we could totally stay here. But I did promise, like when I sent some emails out to kind of like let people know, like Angelica, Larissa, Monica, they're here live, about your expertise on the profit side of things too. I
Sure.
know you have a full background. You have an MBA and a finance degree, and you have a lot of success when it comes to on the profit side, the accounting side in the home service space as well. So I'd love to hear your some of your best practices, maybe things that it's like there's like stuff you should know, and then there's like here's a couple of like hidden gems that maybe you might want to be reminded of, or maybe you're missing this, and just kind of go on a little soapbox and just see what comes out of it.
Sure. Well, so let me kind of start with, everybody says know your numbers, right? Know your numbers. And I always sit there and I go, what does that mean? Know your numbers. And so at the end of the day, key numbers financially for businesses, you have to know where you need to be to make the profit that you are targeting. And by the way, profit targets can change depending on the individual. So some people might say, look, I want to get a 20% profit. Okay, great. Tell me how you're going to do that. I want a 10% profit because I don't have any. I want 10%. Well, the numbers change depending on your target. However, what numbers that are critical to every service business is your cost of sale. So what percentage of revenue is your direct labor? What percentage of your sales is materials and equipment that are necessary to deliver the job? What are those numbers? And what's your gross profit number to equate to the number that can drive your overhead expense and your profit? You have to know those numbers. And you have to know what that looks like. Contributors to that are the cost of sales, but the other two that are big, 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 big appetites on your P&L: advertising and marketing and admin wages. So many contractors throw people at things instead of processes. Part of the focus discussion is, oh, I'll just add another person. Well, what if you just had a process that created focus that was necessary, define that accountability more accurately so that you can be more efficient and, by the way, have less expense? So adding people is not always the right answer. In fact, I've seen many times, how many people do I need if I have this dollar revenue? It's like, that's a dumb question. How does that work? Right? The answer should be what are my most efficient processes to drive the lowest cost of overhead so I can have a higher profit? Because I can have a $5 million company with a 20% profit, or I can have a $10 million company with a 5% profit. What do you think is easier to do? Or I can have a $1 million company and, oh, by the way, have 25% profit. 250,000. How many people in this space, in the world that we live in, wouldn't take a $250,000 share on their behalf from a $1 million company? Top line is vanity. Profit is sanity. Don't forget it.
Mhm.
Don't ever let your top line drive you. Let your end goal drive. What's your lifestyle? What's the serviceability of what you do? What's the demand? So many folks I see try to put the square peg in the round hole. They're always chasing that top line, and the top line can drive you nuts. So if I had to give the secret sauce, don't focus on the top line, focus on the bottom line. So that means that every job needs to be profitable. And I'd like to say, if you wanted just the secret nugget here, the financial numbers are the result of the operational efficiencies. So if a financial number is not working in the equation, it's because the operational side of the business is not working. It's not because the numbers don't work. It's because something's not working on the operational side. For example, managing to the right number of hours that are sold on a job. So job costing, right? The other one would be efficiencies of your service technicians. So if you have flat rate pricing, let's use Danielle for a minute. You've got budgeted hours in those, and you are consistently not selling to the budgeted hours or overrunning the budgeted hours, you got a problem. So is it a pricing problem or is it a person problem? It could be either or, it could be a combination of all of the above, right? The other one that I see as really an eye-opener for a lot of companies is that there is the technician efficiency. So I pay them 8 hours, but they only work 4. Do the math. What are you pricing for? Inflation or efficiency? What are you pricing for? So why in heaven's name are we only working 4 hours, but we're charging for an 8-hour day? We're having to mark our prices up to account for poor productivity. That's what we have to do, right? So if I've got a 70% efficiency, so drive time at the warehouse, time at the hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, if I can manage that more effectively, then guess what? My pricing is more competitive and profitable. And chances are I can compete more effectively in the market that I work in. So watch technician productivity and efficiency. Big deal. Watch how many people you put toward solving a problem versus looking at what a workflow or process could do. And in today's world, you mentioned Claude earlier to me. I mean, my gosh, the tools that we've got now that we can use to help us figure out some of these pieces that we're talking about that may have not been so obvious in the past is tremendous. And Claude's like an awesome tool. Another one's Manus. It's a really good one too. So, but Chat GPT, if I'm dealing with this problem and that problem, what do you think the problem is? It'll tell you. Doesn't mean you don't have to verify it, but it'll tell you. So we even have now tools today that can help us figure out the ingredients of the cake before we bake it.
So Lynn, by the way, this is really good because you're keeping it really simple. Operational efficiency. It's like if we're charging for 8, but you guys are only working 4, that math really makes sense. It's like, well, yeah, that doesn't seem to match up. Paul Maskell, we had a good conversation on that episode. So listener, if you want to go back and listen to Paul's episode, we broke down like how to get to a 15 to 20% net profit. And we talked about like cost of goods sold is about 50%. And then another 2 million on a $6 million business would be like office staff, rent, software, marketing. And that kind of, that we broke all that down in like an actual case study, a fake case study, which was a really fun conversation.
Yep.
We do have a question in the chat. Angelica's with us live. She said, I see a lot of differences of opinions on commissions and base salaries. I believe the base should be an operating expense and the commissions is a cost, a COG, cost of goods sold. What are your thoughts on that?
No, no. If it's a direct labor, it's direct labor. So if it contributes to the end product that you're delivering, whether it's a commission pay or it's a hourly pay or a wage pay, it doesn't matter. It's a result of the direct sale of the business. Now, if you want to get sophisticated, you can split direct labor from indirect labor. So for example, direct labor is on the job, and you can have indirect labor be split for like drive time and training and things like that. My opinion is don't make something complicated. It's not that complicated. We're not over here. We're not General Motors. We're a little service company in our world. Let's be real.
And one of the another question that was in the chat is if someone's main job is accounts receivable, um,
Accounts
can
receivable?
AR, I assume, is that AR
Yeah.
collections? I assume that's what she means. Um, if someone's job is mainly on AR collections, have you heard of anyone using AI to be used for accounts receivable in any way?
No. And would I do that? No.
Do you
In
want to?
fact, I tell you, why do you have accounts receivable? That'd be my first question. And the second would be, that's your money. If it's overdue, it's highly unlikely you're going to collect it anyways. So if it should have been collected on the job, why didn't you collect it? So no, I would not do AI for accounts receivable. That's a hell no.
By the way, that's a good response because the curiosity then becomes it's like what's causing the accounts receivable, right? I think that's the appropriate question, right?
It
So
is. Why do you have accounts receivable? That's the question, because that should be a discipline that's part of the job and the closeout of the job. And it should be part of the setup, the expectations, like we talked about earlier, when that appointment is scheduled. By the way, Mr. Jones, when the technician is complete, they're going to collect by check, cash, or credit card. Which way will you pay? But I see her note, they forget. So how do you stop them from forgetting? Penalize.
what was your response, Lynn?
She said they forget. And I said, how do you stop them from forgetting? It's part of the job. You write them up, you discipline them. It's not acceptable. I mean, it comes back to core values of the company, right? How can you operate if you can't collect money? How can I pay them if I don't collect money? I hear
Yeah.
this all the time. My guys forget. Well, my guys don't forget because it's part of the job. You want to keep your job, you collect.
And I really love your candid response here because it's you use the word that needs to be talked about more often, which is culture. It's like what's the culture or the core values of our company of working here? It's like this is the job description, and it's almost like a three jobs or you're fired. These are the three things you need to really be a good technician. You need to be able to do the actual work. You need to show up on time, and you need to collect the payment at the end of the job. Let's say those are the three things that you need to do a good job in order to remain here or you're fired. Like, so it's like the expectations, and then it's like the accountability to those expectations, the reminders of those expectations. But then it's also praising when they do those things. So it's not just reprimand when you mess up, it's praising everyone that they do. So it's publicly praise, reprimand in private. So that means, do we have any public opportunities to praise them? Is there an internal communication channel or is there any type of like meeting or town hall that takes place? So that's why it's like it goes like a few layers deep where how do we run a business that has accountability and culture and core values where actually people care? Because if they feel
Uh,
like they're just like independent guys just working for in exchange for money, that's a little different than I'm representing a brand that I really feel good about.
yeah, I haven't owned a service company in now since 1989. So let's call it what it is, right? But I can tell you this. I came back to the industry in 2016, and I always say, um, the good news is nothing changed. The bad news is nothing changed, right? And so the thing that we need to be more conscious of is the accountability in our business. And you can have job descriptions and things like that, but if we don't have a proper system of accountability, and this is all the EOS stuff, if you've ever read Traction or you are doing EOS, it's the aha moment for every business owner when you start thinking about accountability, not about the job role. So who is the executor? Who owns the problem? At the end of the day, honestly, collections, who owns that? Actually, the company, the operations manager does. who that, by the way, that could be you. So fix it and make them accountable and help them understand why, starting with the core values of the company.
Lynn, I know we're like, I'm looking at the time. My gosh. I mean, we're just like riffing away over here back and forth. Um, before we kind of start gearing towards the exits a little bit, is there anything that I did not ask you today that you're like, Mike, I came into this conversation, I was hoping we are going to talk about this. And we didn't even touch on that. Was there anything that we did not talk about that we didn't touch on that you kind of want to bring in the space before we kind of start transitioning towards the exits a little bit?
Mike, these are the most, I think, credible conversations that we can have with the business owners. I think one thing you didn't ask me that I would appreciate being asked, and that is, should you own a business or not? That'll scare you, right? So should you be building wealth and have a really good small business and be more focused on your flexibility, your options, your ability to be your own boss and have a good living? Or should you try to do what everybody's telling you to do, and that is to build a $10 million business, yada, 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 yada? Should that be what you're doing? And I think everybody needs to stop and evaluate that and say, should I be in business? Can I afford my quality of life with a business, or do I need to work for someone else, or do I need to have a different way of doing what I do? That's a hard question because a lot of them are already in the mix of being in a business. And I have actually told clients, you shouldn't be in business. You can make more money to go work for somebody else. But I want to be my own boss. We'll figure that out.
I actually really love that topic, and we could talk a lot. Maybe there's a round two, but
Yeah, we can do a round two on that.
I had a conversation with someone this week that they they're struggling a little bit with their business, and it's the first time that I was like, I am so confident I could help you with my business experience, and I'm not going to tell you not to run your own business, but we're going to be talking next week about a revenue share because they can still run the business, but maybe they need some extra help to help them run that business. And after going on this trip to Austria and being in a room with 30 to 40 7 to 9 figure business owners and seeing how many of them are plugging in as rev shares and doing like private equity and these type of deals, I'm like, you're for a fraction, like a small percentage of the business, we can help these business owners that are just really shitty at business, help them kind of turn that business around. I was like, wow, I didn't really know that was a thing. I was always like,
So let
fee
me
for service, but
yeah, so let me tell you how we can have round two. So my philosophy on this is, if you don't know how to hire, manage, and train a resource, don't do it. But you do need to have a trusted partner that you can trust, that can do operations, sales, accounting, that will deliver against your goals. Flexibility, work for yourself, produce your business, your personal wealth. And so our project in 2026 is what I'm calling managed services. So plug into me and we take a rev share. That's exactly it.
oh
So
yeah.
we do it as a percentage of your revenue. And by the way, after I show you how much you're actually spending on these resources, you go, well, shit, I never thought about that. No, you never did.
Well, shit, tell us more. Tell us more about this. I did not realize it's something that you guys are doing.
Oh yeah,
The
we've got a
contractor
great
insurance.
case study going right now. I've had this philosophy since I got back into the business, and really, my target on this is really the 3 to 5 truck guys. Although the one that we're working with is a $9 million company, and sometimes you got to just hit bottom before you can come back to the top. And a lot of times it's because it comes back to lack of understanding what's really important in business. So don't chase the top line. If you're in business, it's all about everything below the bottom line. Everything. If you think it's the top line, you're crazy. It's everything about cost of sales, return on assets, and managing overhead. That's it. If it's sales, that's what you like to do. That's the fun part. The hard part is doing all the other stuff, and it takes other expertise. But no, our managed services. So think of lead gen to lead engagement, qualification, booking, dispatching, and also inside sales. So follow up and conversion, accounting and finance. So I always look at it like I've got the two bookends, and now I'm filling in the middle.
Hell yeah. And if
Hell yeah.
if somebody wanted to follow up with you or stay in touch with you, where would you want to send them?
Listen, reach out to me through my email. That's just going to get to me direct, lynn@contractorincharge.com. You can certainly go to our our website. We have a brand new website by Jen Bagley. You can go check it out. It's pretty cool. Contractorincharge.com. Book a discovery call. Say you want to talk to me. I'm willing to do a discovery call with you and talk about these things. Sometimes it's not the obvious. It helps to have others sometimes point out some of the things that you need to know that are obvious.
So is it right here? Go to Contractor in Charge, schedule your discovery call.
Yeah.
Cool. Very great. Lynn, we ask every guest the exact same question every time. What does it mean to you to be better than rich?
A better human. Help others be better humans. That's what I'm all about. I'm really have so many years at this now, Mike. And I don't want to sound old, but I got a lot of experience, and I've had thousands of conversations that all connect to this. And I would much rather help pay it forward and help you understand what your options are and what your flexibility, how flexible you can be, and how you can build wealth yourself. So don't think about building a business, think about building wealth. So better than rich. There you go.
Well, Lynn, thank you so much for your wisdom and your time. And listener, obviously, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the Better Than Rich Show podcast. We took this turn in season 4 to specifically service those contractors and guys in the trades and home services. And it's been a lot of fun during the season 4, and really looking forward to just continuing to bring more guests your way for this season. And Lynn, thank you so much again. I look forward to just continue the conversation. We have a text exchange going right now, and with Utku, and seeing kind of where things might where might things sync up a little bit between the synergies of our companies potentially. But I'm just honored, excited.
Reach out to me, Mike. Reach out to me.
I will. Okay. Well, thanks.
Right.
Thanks so much. And as always,
thank you.
Better Than Rich Show. Leave today better than you found it. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram at betterthan_rich and join our Facebook group at The Better Than Rich Show. Thanks again for listening. We look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, leave today better than you found it.